The gala continues, as if nothing happened. Waiters move like shadows between tables. Lynn stands frozen, her pulse thundering in her ears. She watches her father, Mr. Than, raise a glass to the crowd. His voice echoes with pride, steady and rehearsed. He calls the Harwood legacy a symbol of strength and unity. The irony makes Lynn's stomach twist, and clutches her mother's hand, whispering not to cry. Lynn forces a breath, searching for her son. Min stands near the stage, holding his grandfather's hand. He looks so small in his tiny tuxedo, beaming with innocence. Her heart cracks at the sight. He doesn't know he's part of the deal. Her father bends down, whispering something in Min's ear. The boy nods, proud, unaware of the betrayal behind the words. Lynn's mother, Mrs. Hugh, watches with calm satisfaction. She doesn't see Lynn at all. Or maybe she does, and simply doesn't care. Every polite laugh feels like a knife. Every camera flash like a spotlight on her humiliation. Lynn grips her clutch tighter until her knuckles ache. She forces herself to walk toward them. Her heels click against the marble like gunshots. Mr. Than turns, his smile still fixed. "Lynn, where are you going?" he asks gently. "Home," she replies, her voice sharp and steady. H letter 1EA3, IS eyes narrow, sensing the storm in her tone. "Let's not create a scene," he warns softly. "For once," Lynn answers, "we agree." She takes Min's hand, ignoring her father's protests. Her mother's fingers dig into H letter 1EA3, IS arm in alarm. But Lynn doesn't look back, and waits by the exit, holding her coat like armor. They step out into the cold night air. For a moment, silence fills the space between them. The city lights blur through Lynn's tears. And finally speaks, her voice trembling. "They knew we'd find out. They didn't even hide it." Lynn nods, unable to trust her own voice. Inside her chest, grief and fury intertwine. Her parents had always favored Min. They said it was natural. That boys carried the family name. Now she understands, it was never love. It was calculation. Her father's empire was built on control. Even his own children were assets to arrange. She remembers the night H letter 1EA3 left. The quiet sound of a suitcase zipper. The scent of Thau's perfume on his jacket. Her mother's cold words the next morning. "You should have been more patient." Patient with betrayal. Patient with being erased. That patience is gone now. By the time they reach the parking lot, Lynn has decided. No more silence. No more pretending everything is fine. The game her family started would end with her. She glances at Anne, who's staring straight ahead. There's fear in her daughter's eyes, but also strength. The kind Lynn wishes she'd found sooner. She starts the car, gripping the wheel tightly. "Mom," Anne says softly, "what do we do now?" Lynn meets her gaze in the rearview mirror. Her voice is low, steady and final. "We fight." The apartment feels colder than usual. Rain taps softly against the window glass. And sits at the kitchen table, scrolling through her phone. Lynn spreads the printed documents across the counter. Each line feels heavier than the last. Her father's signature glints in dark ink at the bottom. He transferred the lake house 2 weeks ago. The trust fund shows Min as the sole heir. And leans forward, voice trembling. They planned this for months, maybe longer. Lynn nods, jaw tight with disbelief. Every page confirms what she feared. It isn't a mistake. It's strategy. A soft knock breaks the silence. When Lynn opens the door, a woman stands there. Silver hair, calm eyes, familiar sadness. "Aunt Lan," Lynn whispers in shock. Lan steps inside, shaking off the rain. "I saw what they did tonight," she says quietly. "They did the same thing to your aunt my years ago." Lynn frowns, memories stirring. "Aunt Mai moved away. We never heard from her again." Lan's eyes harden. "She didn't move. She was pushed out, completely erased." and looks between them, confused. What do you mean erased? Lan sits, her voice steady but cold. Your grandfather has a pattern. He removes anyone who disobeys him. He calls it protecting the legacy. Lynn sinks into a chair, the truth sinking deeper. So it wasn't just her. It was history repeating itself. Lan pulls an old folder from her bag. Inside are faded letters, old legal papers, family photos. Mai's name's scratched off official documents. A will rewritten without her mentioned. Your mother knew, Lan adds softly. She stayed silent to keep her place. The air grows heavier, thick with betrayal. Lynn feels the weight of generations pressing down. En's voice breaks the silence again. So we're next. Lynn nods slowly. They're not just cutting me out, they're cutting you too. En clenches her fists, anger replacing fear. Then we show them we're not weak. Lan smiles faintly at her niece's fire. I kept everything they didn't want anyone to see, she says. Proof that what he's doing isn't legal. Lynn reaches for the papers, hands trembling. It feels like holding someone else's life. But it's hers now. Her family's truth. Lan studies her quietly. You remind me of Mai, brave but too trusting. Lynn looks up, eyes fierce. Not anymore. The rain outside turns heavier, echoing the shift inside her. She gathers every document into a neat pile and helps her organize the files. For the first time, they are a team. Mother and daughter against the machine that raised them. Lan pours tea, her hands steady. This won't be easy, she warns. They have money, lawyers, power. Lynn exhales slowly. So do I, she says. They just don't know it yet. The clock ticks softly, marking the beginning of something new. Outside, thunder rolls through the city. Inside, Lynn feels something she hasn't in years. Resolve. The next morning begins with a knock on the door. A courier stands outside, holding a thick envelope. Lynn signs her name, hands trembling slightly. Inside are legal papers, stamped with red ink. A custody petition filed by High. Emergency motion for full guardianship of Min. Her breath catches as she reads the accusations. Emotional instability. Financial unreliability. Unfit parent. Attached statements from her own parents. Her mother describes Lynn as fragile since the divorce. Her father questions her ability to provide structure. Each sentence slices like glass. And watches from across the table, face pale. They're using your family against you, she whispers. Lynn nods slowly, holding back tears. It's no longer a secret war. It's official. She opens her laptop and starts typing. Emails, dates, bank records, school notes. Every small detail she's saved since the separation. Evidence of the truth they're trying to bury. Her hands shake but don't stop. By midnight, she's filled an entire folder. She buys a small recorder the next day. From now on, everything will be documented. Every conversation, every visit, every call. High phones that evening, voice cold and measured. We can avoid court if you cooperate, he says. Lynn presses record before answering. I'm not negotiating my children, she replies. He laughs softly, a sound she once loved. You'll lose, Lynn. My lawyer is your father's friend. The click of her hang-up feels like freedom. And walks in, carrying 2 cups of tea. You're recording everything, she asks. Yes, Lynn says, and saving copies in 3 places. They share a small smile. It feels like building armor from pieces of truth. Days blur into nights filled with research. Lynn learns the language of legal filings. She memorizes deadlines, statutes, loopholes. Her apartment turns into a war room of evidence. Photos pinned to corkboards. Voicemails labeled by date. A spreadsheet tracking every interaction with her parents. Patterns emerge like scars. Min's behavior changes after each weekend with them. He grows distant, parroting phrases that aren't his. Grandpa says real families stay together. Grandma says you're too busy for me. Each word stings sharper than the last. Lynn kneels beside him one night, voice gentle. You know I love you, right? He nods, confused, torn between two worlds. That night, she cries quietly, careful not to wake him, and hears the muffled sobs from her room. She opens her phone, snaps photos of the court papers. Just in case, she murmurs to herself. The next morning, Lan visits again. Her expression is grave but determined. You'll need help, she says, handing Lynn a card. Attorney Third Trang. She's not afraid of powerful families. Lynn studies the name, memorizing it. Something shifts inside her again. This isn't just defense anymore. It's offense. She looks at him, who nods without hesitation. They've crossed the line of fear. Now comes the fight. The lawyer's office smells of ink and paper. Walls lined with case files, victories and silent battles. Attorney Third Trang shakes Lynn's hand firmly. I've read your documents, she says, eyes sharp. This isn't a family dispute. It's organized manipulation. Lynn exhales, tension softening for the first time in weeks. Trang's voice carries quiet confidence. We'll start by freezing their custody motion, she explains. We'll file a counterclaim for coercion and fraud. And sits beside her mother, notebook in hand. She writes every word, careful not to miss a detail. Trang slides over a pen drive. Recordings like this are gold, she says. Keep them coming. They'll hang themselves with their own words. That night, Lynn transfers all files to a hidden drive. She copies photos, bank transfers, and signed letters. Each click feels like reclaiming power stolen from her. And stays up scanning more documents. Her determination mirrors her mother. Sometime after midnight, her phone vibrates. A message from an unknown number. The profile picture is a woman with familiar eyes. The message reads, I think we're family, and rushes to Lynn's room, showing her the screen. Lynn stares, frozen by the name she hasn't heard in years. Aunt Mai, the one erased from every photo. The one no one dared mention. They video call within minutes. Mai's voice trembles at first, then steadies. I saw the news about your case, she says. He's doing it again, isn't he? Lynn nods slowly. Mai holds up a stack of folders. These are from when he disinherited me. Letters, transactions, witnesses. Everything they tried to bury. Lynn feels tears rising, but swallows them back. We can use it, Trang says the next morning. Pattern of behavior, powerful evidence. Lan joins them, her silver hair catching the light. For the first time, the three women sit together. 3 generations, bound by survival. They spread papers across the table like a map. Each signature, each date forming a timeline of betrayal. And color codes everything, marking connections with red ink. Lynn watches her daughter, pride mixing with pain. They are building something bigger than defense. They are exposing decades of control. Trang taps her pen against the table. We'll subpoena the trust records next. His arrogance left a trail. Lynn nods, her fear replaced by fire. Her phone buzzes again that evening. A message from Hai. Let's talk privately, no lawyers. She doesn't reply. Instead, she hits record and sets the phone down. She's done playing quietly. Mai flies in 2 days later, carrying a weathered briefcase. Her presence fills the small apartment with history. You look like your grandmother, she says softly. But you have my stubbornness. They laugh for the first time in months. The laughter feels like armor. By dawn, the plan is set. Lynn will face them head-on. Not as the obedient daughter. Not as the abandoned wife. But as the woman who finally remembers who she is. The conference room smells of polished wood and power. Mr. Than sits at the head of the table, calm and certain. Beside him, Mrs. Hugh folds her hands like a statue. Hai adjusts his tie, pretending confidence he doesn't feel. Across from them, Lin sits between Attorney Trang and Aunt Mai. And sits quietly, her notebook open, recording everything. Silence stretches thin before Trang speaks first. "Let's begin," she says, sliding a thick folder forward. These are bank transfers between Mr. Than and Hai. Dates match the property transfer and custody filing. Mr. Than's face hardens. "That information is private," he says coldly. "Not when it concerns fraud," Trang replies evenly. She flips to another document, voice steady and sharp. "Emails, agreements, signatures from your law firm." Hai's throat tightens. His hands twitch under the table. Mrs. Hugh looks at him with confusion and fear. Lin watches, calm for the first time in years. Mai opens her briefcase and spreads old papers. "These are from my disinheritance," she says clearly. The same tactics, same wording, even the same lawyer. The room goes still. Hugh's face drains of color. Mr. Than leans forward, eyes narrowing. "You brought outsiders into family matters," he hisses. Mai smiles thinly. "I was family until you decided otherwise." Trang continues, relentless. "This shows a pattern of coercion spanning decades. Financial manipulation disguised as family discipline." Mr. Than slams his hand on the table. "You don't understand legacy," he growls. Lin finally speaks, voice low but firm. "Legacy isn't control, Dad. It's responsibility." Her words slice through the tension like glass. Hai shifts uncomfortably, sweat gathering at his collar. He glances at his phone, then at Mr. Than. "Maybe we should settle," he mutters. Than's glare freezes him. But Trang leans forward, eyes gleaming. "Too late for that. We're filing the full case." She places another document on the table. A notice of public filing with attached exhibits. The color drains from Than's face. Hugh whispers something, voice trembling. "Than, this will destroy everything." "It's already destroyed," Lin replies quietly. Mai adds softly, "You did that years ago." The room feels smaller, heavier with truth. And watches, her pen moving steadily across the page. Her mother's courage etches itself into every line. Than's lawyer clears his throat, breaking the silence. "Perhaps mediation," he suggests quickly. Trang nods. "We're open to that under our terms." Than exhales, defeated but proud enough to hide it. "What do you want?" he asks finally. Lin looks directly at him. "Equality for both my children, no more secrets. And public acknowledgement of what you've done." Hugh's tears spill silently down her cheeks. Than stares at Lin, realizing he's lost control. For the first time, the empire he built trembles. Lin gathers her documents, her voice unwavering. "You taught me power," she says softly. "But you never taught me how to surrender." She stands, and following behind her. The sound of their steps echoes through the hall. It doesn't sound like retreat. It sounds like victory. 1 year later, the house smells of fresh paint and sunlight. Lin stands by the window, coffee warm in her hands. Outside, and loads boxes into the car for college. Her acceptance letter from London, still pinned to the fridge. Min sits on the floor, building a model bridge from wood. He hums softly, calmer now after months of therapy. Their new home is smaller but filled with peace. No more whispers from lawyers, no more threats. The family name no longer owns them. Lan visits every Sunday, bringing fruit and stories. Aunt Mai often joins, through video call from Hanoi. Their voices fill the house like music. Lin's business, Heritage Weaves, thrives quietly. Boutique, hotels order her textile art from around the country. Her name appears in magazines, not as a scandal, but as success. She still saves every receipt, every contract, just in case. Old habits from battle never die easily. But now, she keeps them as reminders of survival. Her phone buzzes with a message from Trang. The final audit is done. You're officially clear. Lynn smiles for a moment too long. Freedom feels both light and fragile. That evening, she sets the table for dinner. Pho broth steams in the soft glow of the kitchen. Min runs in holding his latest school project. It's about bridges, he says proudly. How they hold weight without breaking. She nods, touched by the quiet symbolism, and hugs her before leaving for the airport. Don't let Grandpa talk you into anything, she jokes. Lynn laughs, the sound soft and sure. I stopped letting him a long time ago. Later that week, her parents visit unannounced. They bring flowers, hesitant smiles, no lawyers. Her father's hair is thinner, his voice slower. I came to see the grandchildren, he says carefully. Min runs to greet him, still innocent enough to forgive. Lynn watches in silence, her emotions steady. Hugh takes Lynn's hand, whispering, "You were right." Lynn squeezes gently, neither cruel nor kind. I just stopped being afraid, she answers. They eat dinner together, the first peaceful one in years. No one mentions the trust or the lawsuit. Only stories, laughter, and a fragile kind of truce. When they leave, the night feels lighter somehow. Lynn walks to her studio, the hum of the sewing machine waiting. She spreads out a new fabric design, threads of gold and gray. Each stitch tells a story of pain turned into strength. She frames the finished piece and hangs it in the hallway. The title reads, "Legacy Rewritten." At dawn, sunlight pours through the window like a blessing. Her reflection catches in the glass, steady, calm, whole. For the first time, she sees no traces of fear there. Only the quiet strength of a woman who rebuilt her name. Ann's message lights up her phone again. "Mom, we made it." Lynn types back, smiling. "Yes, love, we finally did." Outside, the world hums with new beginnings. And inside, peace finally feels like home. The night is quiet, wrapped in silver light. Lynn hangs the last family photo on the wall. And smiling in her dorm room. Min holding his model bridge with pride. Aunt Mai and Lan laughing over tea. Even her parents, distant but still there. For the first time, the picture feels whole. No one erased. No one forgotten. Lynn steps back, studying the frame. Each face tells a story of survival, not perfection. She whispers softly, "This is our legacy." Her voice doesn't shake anymore. On her desk lies a letter she'll never send. To her father. It simply says, "I understand now." Not forgiveness, but clarity. She opens the window, letting in the night breeze. The house breathes with her, alive and free. Peace isn't silence. It's choice. The choice to stay, to rebuild, to move forward. Lynn turns off the light and walks upstairs. The moonlight catches her smile, steady, sure. Tomorrow will come, and she will be ready. For the first time, her story belongs only to her.